It's going to be an interesting one. You know, there was kind of a rough last game for Cloud9, but it was against Echo Fox, and that's actually their only losses this season are against Echo Fox for Cloud9, whereas 100 Thieves definitely have been struggling quite a bit more. And I'm going to be interested to see if Cloud9 is confident to go right back to those carry matchups here for Licorice. It obviously fell pretty hard on its face against Huni, but statistically has been working out for them very well this season. The stats have been quite favorable for Licorice when he does have counter pick, and he's up on average around 9 CS at 15 with that counter pick. And they've been doing a lot in the drafts, not only as far as like leaving picks later for him, but also trying to manipulate picks and bans to get him as an advantageous matchup as they can.
And talking about the bans, 4 out of 6 of these initial bans are going to target that mid lane. Azir, Ryze, Zoe, those big 3 you always talk about, taken off the table. Cassiopeia also targeted towards Jensen, being removed here. Alistair and Camille rounding things out as 100 Thieves thinking about that first pick. It's going to be the lock-in on Skarner.
It's kind of interesting because you would traditionally expect something like a GP maybe even to be blind picked here, but I think you're a little bit more nervous to do that against Licorice because he has shown that he is willing to play the Lucian, he has shown that he is willing to play the Kled, and even some of these other carry matchups into it and kind of use that as a counter pick. So it does change the way that you have to approach the draft from both sides, right? You know, do you want to risk putting Ssumday, especially when he's not performing as well this season, in a disadvantageous matchup against Licorice, who has been very successful?
And with what we've seen from the meteoric rise of Skarner in terms of popularity, this champion is first pick worthy now. Generally, if it makes it past bans, it's going in the first round, whether it gets first picked or then first/second picked on the other side. So 100 Thieves still getting themselves a value pick in that one. The response from Cloud9, though, picking up the Sejuani, another top-tier jungler, thinking about the Galio here, too.
Yeah, and the Galio, I think, can make quite some sense. They're looking like they're going to change that actually to a blind pick Gnar here for Licorice, so actually not going to be saving it for the secondary pick. This is actually only the 3rd time this season that Licorice has picked before the opposing top laner. He is in something that is quite a safe blind pick, though, on the Gnar. We'll see if Ssumday is going to be interested in going for any sort of counter pick against it, if he wants to try to play aggressive, he wants to try to punish that. But you can see Cloud9 has already somewhat protected this with the Camille ban, and it's actually going to be GP into Gnar, which traditionally is fairly Gnar favored early on.
At the same time, though, we've seen GP lose lanes all throughout the course of this split, but lose lane has to be a couple words you put in quotation marks because the amount of money this champion can accrue, even when he's behind, it doesn't really feel that much like a loss when you're still 1,000 gold up.
Exactly, and the thing that makes it even crazier is since people have started this Relic Shield Relic Shield 3-pot, going heavily into Resolve, trying to build somewhat defensively, we saw Huni do this, we've seen a number of people pick this up as well, where they're actually able to just go even with the Gnar. And if you're going even with the Gnar, because of all the bonus gold you're picking up, because of the scaling this champion has, you are actually very far ahead. And that is something that Cloud9 is going to have to be pretty cognizant of in how they play around this lane.
Galio that was hovered by Cloud9 earlier going to be locked in by 100 Thieves, both seeing that their opponents were thinking about that and denying them away from it, as well as combining Galio with Skarner. You get a pull into an immediate follow-up. It's a super strong CC chain. Cloud9 will respond to that, picking up the Corki for themselves in the mid lane, which transitions us into the second part of the bans.
And Corki, a champion who is going to scale very well into the later stages of the game, also lanes pretty favorably against the Galio. Galio, yes, you can obviously try to poke out and push out pretty heavily with your Q, but the cooldown in the early levels before you start picking up CDR is pretty high, and you can take a lot of damage from those auto attacks on Corki, and it's going to be more about getting out of lane or trying to pull off some sort of a gank, but in the actual 1v1, I expect it to be pretty favorable for Jensen. He should be able to get a farm advantage. He should be able to scale up pretty heavily, and Ryu's going to be having to make plays with Meteos, and that's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to be able to work together, especially if Meteos decides to go for something like the Predator, you know, utilizing that to try to get him further into those backlines and set up for the grand entrance from that Galio.
And it's like what we heard from the win conditions from the analyst desk. If you're 100 Thieves, you're looking at shutting down the potential to roam around from that Cloud9 support especially. So can they get the lockdown? We'll have to see as the bans coming through for the second part of that ban phase here, largely targeting the support pool, getting rid of some of those initiators, some of those big meatball supports with Braum, Tahm Kench, Rakan all banned away. Tristana going to be the only non-support ban.
Wouldn't be surprised to just see an Ezreal here for Cloud9. They've like to play that quite a lot, and it does set up Smoothie to be able to actually roam around. Kalista is still available if they want to go more lane focused. That is an option, and with Tristana already taken off the table, that's somewhat limiting the choices here from 100 Thieves, so we are going to get the full bot lane now locked in for 100 Thieves and find out what they're going to be going up against. Then Cloud9 will save their last pick here for Smoothie. So Smoothie is either going to be able to pick heavily for lane and try to play a lane dominant style. We know Alistar is taken off the table. A lot of the tank supports that Smoothie does favor are already taken off the table.
Yep.
But there's still others available. And if he doesn't feel that he can play heavily for lane, he can always still look to roam.
Well, let's see what 100 Thieves want to respond to that Kalista with. They grab themselves the Varus in the AD carry position there for Cody Sun. 17, 16, 15 more seconds to still think about that support that they want to go for with, like you said, a lot of those tankier supports having already been banned away.
And if they were to go for Taric, that would actually be all of Smoothie's picks from the season taken away. Taric is still available. That is the only one that he has played that is actually not banned right now because the Tahm Kench is banned away, the Alistar, the Braum are all banned away. So certainly could be just going back to that Taric if he feels comfortable there. There's always the opportunity to go for something like a Morgana though, but I am expecting the Taric because he has been playing exclusively tank supports and can work pretty well here into this Thresh.
And I mean, obviously it's worked out well for Cloud9 as a team. A lot of what our focus has been on talking about how this team succeeds has been on Smoothie, on support, and when you've got an 8-2 record to back it up, something about this strategy is working. It's clicking there for Cloud9. Rosters are finalized heading into this game with that Taric locked in. Now it's all going to come down to who plays it better, who executes right. Can 100 Thieves shut down that Cloud9 rotation machine, or is Cloud9 going to continue that streak of having only lost to one team in the entire league?
This is going to be pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of playmaking, a lot of crowd control and follow-up CC here from 100 Thieves, and if they can find the right picks and burst someone down before the Taric ultimate comes down, before Cloud9 can stabilize in these team fights, I do think they have really good chances here, but there's always an opportunity cost. If you cannot connect that hook on the right person, if you cannot land all that CC and eliminate someone with the hook and the ultimate coming out of Skarner and these sorts of things, you're likely not going to have enough follow-up damage to actually follow through and win a longer fight against a Taric and a Sejuani, and there's Gnar there in the front line with double 80 carry damage coming through.
And you know, I'm also going to be keeping my eyes on the top lane in particular, especially after that discussion that we saw from Mark and Jad earlier about where they're placing everybody in terms of a tier list right now. Licorice, this guy that a lot of people had a lot of question marks about coming into this split, proven himself, done a lot of work so far in the top lane. Ssumday, someone that a lot of people were expecting more out of, who they're really saying, well, when does he step up? A contest between these two could be a great statement to make from either one.
Certainly so. I mean, we heard Crawley talking about the fact that they're trying to rebuild. They're trying to strive for consistency. He felt, yeah, maybe you can pick up some more wins if you're just kind of playing how they were, a little bit fast and loose. But they're looking for the long term. They're trying to build up into a successful org, not only for the regular season, but for the playoffs and for, you know, even further than that, for international play. And to do that, sometimes you have to go back to basics. So we'll see, is 100 Thieves on that right path? Can they go competitive here against Cloud9, who is clearly one of the strongest teams in the league and has quite a few comfort picks?
Absolutely. The way Dash phrased it at the beginning of the day, I think, was perfect. Still definitely a top 2 team. Despite a convincing loss against Echo Fox in the previous week, this team still looks incredibly strong right now. We'll point out that Meteos has gone for the Predator on that Skarner, so we will see some of the playmaking potential that comes out of that one. Everything else seeming pretty par for the course, the way we look around here and examine the keystones. Lethal Tempo on Kalista, pretty much the only champion in League of Legends that uses that keystone very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough to actually utilize because it takes the activation time afterwards, and because Kalista likes to go for these extended trades where you're trying to stack spears up very, very quickly, it can work pretty well in combination with this champion, allowing you to get tons and tons of spears into your opponent and then go for that rend with the attack speed. But you are obviously trading off some sustain, right? Fleet footwork is so popular because it makes your laning phase a lot stronger. The burst of speed is very useful in the later stages of team fighting. So it's honestly just such a well-rounded mastery that you're always going to get a lot out of it, whereas the Lethal Tempo is much more conditional. It's also worth pointing out here, Jensen did go for the call start, so you know, as I said, he's not really too worried about this actual lane matchup and gonna have an advantage, feels comfortable to actually go for that call, get a little bit of extra gold, and he should be winning in the 1v1. You know, if they do keep this as an isolated lane, even if they're just farming it out, he's gonna be feeling pretty happy about that. So it's really gonna be about Meteos, about Ryu, and how they can actually pair up and make plays, along with Aphromoo here too, who on Thresh also has to kind of be proactive in making plays, because if he cannot land those big hooks, Taric is just straight up a better champion.
Yeah, Aphromoo on the Thresh. I always love seeing this guy on playmaking champions, stuff like the Thresh, like the Bard that we got to see from him last weekend, because he knows when it's time to really put everything on the line and put everything on that one skill shot. And he's done it before. They're hoping he can do it here again today, because it's a lot of fun to see, and it can make or break the game.
It certainly can, and that's honestly a lot of how Aphromoo has made his name as a support player. Being someone who is not afraid of taking that risky play to win the game, because he is confident that he will be able to make it happen. He's willing to take a chance, willing to go for these champions like the Thresh and the Bard, and even things like Blitzcrank in the past. Always wanted to be the guy who has to make that big play. And if you can make it happen, if you can get that hook onto Sneaky or Jensen and eliminate them at the start of a fight, it's very likely a 100 Thieves team fight win.
All right, you can see Meteos farming up the Scuttle Crab there. There was only a blip on the radar of his E coming out from the ward placed down by Cloud9. Highly unlikely they saw that one, but Meteos will go prowling through the enemy jungle now, taking those plants as he goes.
And this is honestly one of the strengths of Meteos, as he was actually spotted out here, on this Skarner. You look at the mana and the health of Sejuani versus Meteos. They have essentially cleared the exact same camps. Sejuani was like under half health, low on mana. Meteos is sitting here at full health, full mana. He can actually stay out on the map much longer and look for these ganks. And unfortunately for him, his time is being wasted because Jensen is not giving it up that he was spotted. Jensen knows he has enough distance, and notice how Jensen is actually playing to the side that Meteos is. He's trying to bait him to stay around even longer. Traditionally speaking, you play to the opposite side of where the jungler is, so you have more time to react, but because he knows exactly where he was, he wanted to not give it away that he knew, waste more of Meteos' time, and thanks to Jensen's smart play and warding there, he actually buys the time for Svenskeren to catch up on the camp, have the earlier base, and that somewhat eliminates the early advantage that Skarner has had. So these little things can actually end up making a big difference.
It's all about the mind game, right?
Totally.
The more of your opponent's time you can waste, the more you can get into his head and make him play the game that he thinks he's playing, but the one that you know is actually going to happen instead, the better off you're going to be. Licorice getting that last second wallop down onto Ssumday, making the 1 versus 1 effort. Airy gets proc boomerang, not finding its way there. Ssumday could have been in some serious trouble, but Licorice taking the edge.
Yeah, I mean, if he hit that boomerang there, there's a chance you can actually flash for the last auto and finish him off with that hyper proc, and doesn't quite hit it either way, getting the early advantage, and it's a bit of an awkward timing there to base. Ssumday will be able to TP back. Only going to lose a couple minions, but it's an advantageous base timing here for Licorice, and because of the fact that it's all pushed to his opponent's turret, he probably can just hold on to his TP and threaten to use that elsewhere on the map.
Which can be a big advantage if the rest of your team decides that they found a great spot to force some kind of a fight once we hit level 6s here in bottom lane, but instead, it's going to be stuns coming out, Ignite going down, Aphromoo flashing away, still in some trouble here. Barely hobbles out with a little bit of HP remaining. Sneaky and Smoothie get themselves back. Svenskeren hanging around bottom side as well in case Meteos would show up. He's not on this side of the map right now, though. We'll have to see what exactly Cloud9 wants to do here. They know that there's no flash available onto Aphromoo. Svenskeren coming around. They want to dive this one. Stun comes in. Svenskeren looking to lay down the CC. More damage going to be poured into Smoothie here. One more turret shot will take him down. It's first blood over to Sneaky, but it's 1 for 1 so far. Svenskeren barely getting himself away from that one as well.
Yeah, a bit of a messy dive, giving up the kill back, as Meteos will be able to stop Jensen's base here. The big thing, though, for C9 is that Sneaky got the kill, where Aphromoo got the kill, 400 Thieves, and it's first blood going to Cloud9, so certainly still in their favor, but across the map, they are down a little bit of gold thanks to a farm advantage here from Meteos and the Gangplank passive, and Meteos is spending a lot of time around Jensen here, and it's actually a 3-man play in the mid lane.
Flash into the taunt will force the flash away from Jensen, so summoner spells burnt by both mid laners there. But yeah, Meteos' investment into this mid lane, we've always historically talked about Jensen being big in the mid lane, but let's take another look how this play happened bottom.
Yeah, and here's this play again, exactly. It's warded out, Aphromoo gonna get caught. 1 Ignite expended to get the flash and the heal. This prompts them to move down and actually look for the dive, feeling confident that they can actually burst down Aphromoo here, but it takes them quite some time to actually finish him off. They start up with the Bastion, putting that over on his Svenskeren. They're able to land the stun. It's Smoothie that pulls aggro here, but the Flay pulling him in, he's not able to actually get out of turret aggro in time, taking perhaps another shot than he would have wanted to. either way, first blood did go to Cloud9, and Sneaky's the one with the kill, so AD carry advantage is going to be on their side, but Meteos down here looking to change that. Has no Predator available because he didn't buy boots, but he does have level 6.
Level 6 with Flash. This is very high chance of being a kill if they can manage to bait this correctly. Skarner Flash ulti, one of the most effective tools in the game for starting something off, getting that pick. Especially when your opponents haven't even had a chance to buy QSS. Here we go. This is going to be the play attempt, the suppression into the damage. There you go. Goodbye, Sneaky. Meteos grabbing the kill onto his old teammate.
Yep, nothing Sneaky can do about that setup. Just well done, honestly, by 100 Thieves with the ult timing. Ssumday a bit of a whiff. Doesn't even actually get an assist for his Gangplank ultimate. So that's honestly too bad because it actually does expose him to a potential dive a lot more. Svenskeren is trying to get a little bit of something done here on the top side of the map. They're going to try to take away the blue buff and give it over to Jensen. They will be able to do so. I've got to say I am kind of surprised by the delay on boots, though, for Meteos. Yep. Generally speaking, I feel like Predator is most powerful, actually, to enable you to do things pre-6 that you would otherwise not have been able to do, right?
Especially on Skarner.
Exactly, because Skarner on the pre-6 Yanks is usually pretty weak, but you know, a good example is, despite it was actually a loss last week, some of the effectiveness that Mike Young had around mid lane on Skarner in the early levels, you know, able to pull off multiple ganks in the mid lane, helping out Bjergsen, forcing out summoners, and Predator can enable you to do that pretty heavily, but likely going to get his boots now on base, and we'll see if he can get out on the map and make anything happen with that.
Nice early first Drake coming out from 100 Thieves there as well. A lot of times, if it's not Infernal, you see these first Drakes lasting somewhere between the 15 and 20 minute mark, but 100 Thieves picking up that first one for themselves, not even 9 minutes into the game, means we could have quite a few elemental Drakes take in this game as Azael, as Licorice continues just applying the pressure here in the top lane, but some days staying close enough in farm that he's not falling behind because he's Gangplank.
Yeah, definitely so. And I agree. I think it was a smart choice. Also, they knew that Svenskeren was on their blue buff, so not only did they get the dragon, they counter-steal the blue. So really there was no advantages gained there from Cloud9 because they get the kill, they trade blues, they get the dragon, give up a bit of farm time taking down that dragon, so actually, you know, immediate gold value, it's not really worth it, but obviously as far as the power that it's going to give you later on, to be able to take up follow-up objectives, to be able to perhaps get some split push damage down on turrets and things like this, can be quite valuable, so things looking pretty good so far.
One thing I want to point out that Meteos is doing while taking these Krugs on the Skarner, using the smite on the Krug camp is just about the best use of that you can get when you are playing Skarner, because it is the only camp in the jungle that you can't manage to fight in the Spire buff. You get so much attack speed and so much mana regeneration from every other camp that you're fighting. Krugs just feels really bad, so making sure that you've got the smite for that to speed it up really helps out with that one. Meteos just maximizing that farm like you were talking about earlier, Azael. Skarner pretty much made for it, considering being in the Spire gives you blue buff level mana regen. He can just move around all day, spam shields to keep his health up, always has free mana.
Your damage abilities are all AoE, right? Your E and your Q are both AoE, and you'll be pleased to know he is maxing E here as Tank Skarner.
Which is the only way to actually do it. If you max Q on not Warrior Skarner, you need to reconsider some things, my friend.
There you go. So a plethora of Skarner tips here.
Oh, we got them for days and days and days. But for now, it's 100 Thieves finding themselves just a few hundred gold behind Cloud9, despite the fact that they've got the Gangplank, despite the fact that they've got the kill lead. It's the farm when you look at the mid lane, the Corki compared to the Galio. Even in the jungle, 79 on the Sejuani compared to 67 on that Skarner. So farm advantages coming up for Cloud9.
Yeah, and the fact that Jensen has already cashed out his cult, right? This is a very quick cult cash out. He started with the item. He's at 115 CS at 1045. He has his package available here. They're looking to threaten plays on the bottom side of the map, and going to go on to Ryu.
Gets some lockdown onto Ryu there, but he manages to buffer it away with the Justice Punch. The classic Tristana interaction on Galio instead this time.
Doesn't work out, but I still like the fact that they're pressuring into the jungle with the package. All too often you see people pick up the package, they walk back to lane, they kind of strafe around, and then they just use it on minions, right? Yeah. Because you know that you have basically get out of jail free card with the package, always invading into your opponent's jungle, especially with your jungler, makes a lot of sense because you can go in very aggressively, you can look to get vision. If someone's out of position, you can maybe get a kill. Worst case scenario, it's a situation like this where they get a couple wards down, they clear out a pink, and there's nothing really lost, right? It's not a big cost, and you always know that you're going to be able to get away if they go for it.
Right, that safety is the biggest part for me. You can't be interrupted while you're using it to get yourself away, so you have the ability to really flex those muscles and move up and make a play that you otherwise couldn't. So I agree. I like that from Cloud9, really getting the most out of that. And calls like that, I think, are why this team is able to find more wins than most other teams in the NALCS right now, because they know how to use their resources properly.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny. It brings me again back to what Prawley was talking about actually in his interview 400 Thieves. He's talking about consistency, and a lot of consistency in League of Legends and a lot of being a top team is always making the right choice on little things over and over and over again, right? That's how you create advantages. Correct itemization every time, correct warding every time, pressuring at the right times, you know, and consistently doing that across the map over a long period of time is what puts a team like Cloud9 towards the top of the standings. They're just very, very solid, and they do a lot of little things right basically every time.
I think that's interesting because it parallels one of the conversations that you usually see happen about even just people playing solo queue, right? League of Legends in general. What's the difference between a Masters player and like a high challenger player? And the answer is always consistency. It's always one guy can perform out of his mind, the other guy can perform out of his mind every single game. And that's what it's all about, is making sure that there's none of those moments where you just go, wow, I don't know what that was. You need to be able to consistently repeat success. And Cloud9 very, very slightly ahead still in this game, 13 minutes in. It could go either way, though, and that means that any sort of fight that breaks out could be the one that decides the momentum of the game going forward from there. You can see a lot of bodies grouping up around this bottom part of the map. The Drake spawning in 1 minute seems to be a point of contention here as both teams thinking about the value of that as the game goes on.
Certainly so, and there's positives happening right now for both sides, right? Jensen has started with a cult, greedy build, he's up 20 CS, he's scaling very well, great. That's looking really nice for Cloud9. But then you look at 100 Thieves side. The Gangplank is farming and holding his own pretty well here. He's going to be scaling up very well, and you know, as far as the gold advantages, he's actually ahead on gold because of his passive and farming up there. And then you look at the bottom side. Cody Sun has his Rage Blade complete, whereas Sneaky is still on pieces and doesn't have his Blade of the Rune King, so that's a point of strength again for 100 Thieves. So both teams are going to have to try to play around their power points, and it's part of the reason that Meteos was putting so much time into focusing mid lane here, because he was trying to hold down a point of power for Cloud9 and stop Jensen from accruing this advantage. But now that he has it, you have to respect it, you have to move around the map and really think about where are they stronger, where are we stronger, can we fight, where can we fight, and all these sorts of things are kind of coming into play.
You are seeing that Drake spawn right about now. Control over the area being exercised by 100 Thieves. Meteos on the Skarner can actually solo this very easily. Once Skarner has a completed jungle item, you can solo any kind of a Drake, except maybe Elder. Ryu throwing the Winds of War back towards Jensen.
I hope you have your jungle item by the time Elder.
Yeah, I would hope that by 35 minutes into the game, you've got the jungle item completed.
Got some other problems.
Might have some different concerns if that's not the case, but 100 Thieves moving on to the Drake. Will Cloud9 contest this one? Svenskeren backing away, deciding they're going to force the fight a little bit elsewhere. Meteos going to be saved for now by Ryu's heroic entrance. Ryu grabbing the kill onto Jensen to start this one off, trying to get himself away. Barely going to be creeping out until they're able to grab the kill. Ssumday coming in, the TP behind enemy lines. Cloud9, sandwiched in the middle of everything. The hook will shut Licorice down as Sneaky now going to be double killed. 100 Thieves trade away their mid laner, but they get 3 in return, and they're back onto the brink.
Hey, they knew they had the stronger bot lane at that point. Sneaky had not been able to go back to base to actually buy his Blade of the Rune King. He has it now, but that was a Rage Blade versus just the pieces and getting those hooks onto the high variants, but they make the play happen. And Cody Sun.
Speaking of hooks, Aphromoo sets up another right under the mid lane tier 1. 100 Thieves are on fire right now.
I mean, Cody Sun has just picked up so much gold in these last couple minutes. They knew he was the stronger AD carry at that point. They fought heavily around it. Afro hits the big hooks. I mean, Licorice was on the verge of going mega and maybe trying to turn this fight around, but here it is once again. They start off the fight on a Meteos, but that is the tank, and it was a good early ultimate here from Taric, but it didn't have that much effect. The hook there onto Jensen takes out one, and now watch as Licorice, right as he's about to go mega, Afro hits another hook on him as the flank is coming in from Ssumday. This denies the Mega Gnar coming through, no ultimate able to come out, CC'd up, locked down, taken down, and Cody Sun ends up getting 3 kills in the ensuing play off of yet another good hook for Aphromoo. So this is 3 hooks, setting up 3 big kills, all given over to the AD carry, and that is exactly what you want to see out of your support.
That is what we said earlier. Look at the damage comparison in that last fight. 2175 from Cody Sun, 2163 from Ssumday. The highest number being output on Cloud9's squad was 1164 from the jungler.
Yeah. And I mean, that's because Jensen got hooked up. He died immediately. Licorice hooked up, dies before he can go Mega, and then everyone is piling in on Sneaky, and he didn't really have much of a chance to actually fight back. And you know, that's where you kind of have to ask yourself, for Cloud9, should they have been fighting for that dragon in the first place? Yes, it was a mountain dragon, it's pretty strong, but you're fighting against a Rage Blade Varus, and that's what can happen.
Oh, Sneaky, this is not a situation you get yourself out of very easily. Another Skarner ulti to seal his fate, but mid lane, it's going to be Ryu in some trouble now. Svenskeren trying to help Jensen get this kill, but Ryu tanky enough to get away from that when the Abyssal Mask doing a lot of work against those magic-dealing champions there. First turret now also going the way of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, you fought a Varus where he's stronger than your Kalista. You know, he was not ahead from the laning phase, and now Cody Sun is just off to the races. He's getting so much gold. They gave him solo gold, I believe, on that turret even. He's gotten 4 straight kills. He's going to have another item when he bases it. He could go for something like a Wit's End if he wants. He could go, you know, another route. And yeah, there's his completed Wit's End. Sneaky is nowhere close to a second item here, is likely going to have to take a detour to get a QSS as well, because he's getting picked on by Meteos and these Skarner ultimates, and that simply means there's going to be very little damage output from the Kalista here on Cloud9, and you can fight so heavily now around Cody Sun. Like, your game plan becomes incredibly clear, right? You simply say, protect Cody, keep him alive, we win the fight.
I mean, 100% kill participation, 4 kills, level 11. This is just absolutely frightening from the 100 Thieves AD carry. They are only up 2,000 gold overall, but when
where
you've
the
got
gold's concentrated.
Yeah, the gold is all in the right spot. 2,000 gold in the right spot can be as valuable as 4,000 gold randomly scattered around different places. You can see that 8,300 count he has, the richest person in the game right now, and I want to give credit where it's due as well, because we were talking about how Ssumday hasn't sort of lived up to the expectations that a lot of people have had from him, but currently in this game, he's been doing a great job. Yes, he's behind in farm, as would be expected against the Gnar, but he's up over 1,000 in terms of gold just because of global advantages and being Gangplank, and he's doing his job, which is what you want to see from him as this game transitions to the mid-game phase.
Yeah, definitely the case. I mean, it's not like he played incredible in lane, he's not even on farm, and nothing like that. Jensen does have package, and we'll have to use it. I mean, this is a Predator Skarner coming in, but he's pretty comfortable that he can back away either way. You know, yeah, he played a solid lane phase. He had more impact in that dragon fight where he put out a lot of damage, and he was able to get a good TP off there, so things are looking good. He's scaling up. He's going to be very relevant, and the thing that makes the goal difference between Cody Sun and Sneaky feel so much bigger is having to pay that Skarner tax. Yep. Because not only is he down, you know, over 1,000 gold or whatever individually, you have to then detour and spend your 1,300 gold on the QSS. That makes it feel, as far as actual damage output, that you're very far behind.
It's an extra zeal that you could have had in terms of damage that you no longer have. Yep. Just because of the fact that the enemy team has Skarner. It's a lot like Malzahar. These purple suppression champions cause everybody so much trouble, but I would much rather see somebody build the QSS against it than go 4 items into the game and still have no QSS and just lose because you got one.
Definitely so. It's not me saying that he's making the wrong choice. It's just,
of course,
hey, it feels bad as far as your actual damage output, especially when there are going to be multiple, you know, kind of frontliners, so to speak, in your face. You have to punch through this Galio, who, although he is going AP, you know, is going to be still fairly tanky because of this kit. It's going to be a full tank Skarner. There's going to be a Thresh in your face, and you have to deal with this triple melee that's up in there. And you want to be building things like a Hurricane against triple melee. You want to be going towards a Bloodthirster so you can be in their face and tanking through it, but it does become very, very difficult.
And especially when you look at this comp, I mean, you've got a Corki, you've got a Kalista, but support, you've got Taric. Jungle, you've got Sejuani. Top lane, you've got the Gnar hook. Oh, down onto Sneaky. Meteos coming in from the side, looking to find himself a value pull. Sneaky barely going to be able to get himself away from this one. Meteos dropping the pull down onto Svenskeren, bringing him into the middle of the entirety of the team. The Winds of War come out. Licorice jumps right back in, looks to flash into the Mega Gnar. Wallop comes down onto 2, but the follow-up not immediately there. Another nice pull, this time onto Svenskeren, looking to seal his fate. Smoothie now in the front line as Ryu flashes over the wall, barely going to be kept alive. A double kill for Cody, looking to make it 3. He's got it, 100 Thieves. Another big fight.
Yeah, Cody Sun gets 3 more kills. Great. Cloud9 is getting a little bit of damage out there. They're punishing some of these members, but Cody Sun was untouched throughout that, and Licorice flashing in when your AD carry is so incredibly low. As Mega Gnar expires, you stun a couple members up, but where is the follow-up going to come from? It seemed like a very ill-advised fight from Cloud9. And yes, they were a bit behind, but it was not out of reach. And this may have put it out of reach, right? You gave over 3 more kills. You gave over the Baron. Cody Sun is going to base with another full item to buy, and they're going to pick up more gold on the map. And the Infernal Dragon is there. And this just did not seem like the fight that Cloud9 wanted to take. So here is the initial play. Aphromoo finding another big hook. He has been outstanding this game, but at this point, how is Sneaky supposed to enter the fight? Licorice is coming in as Mega Gnar expires. He flashes forward to get this stun. Look where Sneaky is. Sneaky is recalling back in mid lane as that happened. And that, to me, speaks to a lack of communication happening there. Just now, Sneaky enters the fight, but the fight is already lost, and really, what can he do from this low health? There's nothing there. And that really was just a poorly orchestrated fight from Cloud9. They gave that one to 100 Thieves, and now 100 Thieves are firmly in the driver's seat. They get the Infernal, they get the Baron, they have everything they need to push forward and close this game.
5,000 gold up. You've got Gangplank sitting pretty in the side lane. Everybody else moving up as 4, or rather as 3. And I like what you saw from Meteos there, hanging out in the wings, doing what you want to do on that Skarner, bouncing back and forth between the lanes, seeing if there's a pick you can find, because that just means you're going to snowball this game down that much faster. Tier 2 falls on the bottom side, brings the Thieves up to a 4-1 turret lead and a 7,000 gold advantage.
And 7,000 gold before 23 minutes is an outstanding advantage. And the gold for the AD carries is expanding more and more and more. Almost 3,000 gold now ahead for Cody Sun. He didn't have to make that pit stop for the QSS. So as far as actual raw damage output, it is a massive, massive difference. Meteos is looking for the flash. Wow.
Meteos going in, he gets shoved back, but he brings Svenskeren with him. That tank is not tanky enough. That is one of the worst things that you can do sometimes, is knock Skarner away when he's got the pull down, because it takes your teammate with him.
Yeah, and he just take out Svenskeren. I mean, that is a flash ultimate on your tank. When the Skarner can flash in and take away your tankiest member and kill him, that is going to feel really, really bad. That just shows you how big this gold lead is, and Cloud9 cannot do anything about this. This is going to be an inhibitor here for 100 Thieves, and we'll see where they're going to go now after. They can head down to bot lane and continue to push, but they just want to go back to base and spend up the gold because they've accrued an even larger lead.
100 Thieves feeling really good about that. I actually don't know if that was a knockback on Skarner or if he managed to take the Thresh Lantern somehow, but either way, the Skarner pull, when your team is so far ahead that you can pull Sejuani and then just pop him.
And we'll be able to watch here again. You know, not able to get Sneaky as the QSS, goes straight there for Svenskeren. It is actually a lantern. He takes the lantern and it pulls.
That's what it was. I thought, as soon as I saw it, I thought, wait, was that lantern? I was like, no, it had to be Mega Gnar or something, but that was lantern. That was really good.
I didn't even know you could take the lantern while you had someone ulted.
I'm pretty sure there's a weird wonky interaction with it where it works sometimes but not other times.
Might be a timing thing where like you're not really supposed to, but if you do it at the same time thing, kind of like
this is the one Skarner thing I actually don't know, because I just take the cop out and say it's a Thresh thing. It's not a Skarner thing. So yeah, I actually can't give you a 100% yes or no on this.
I'll give you half grades.
All right, cool. I'll just go for the half grade, then I'll take it. But 100 Thieves now, they're not going for any sort of half measures in this game. They're up so far. They've got the mid lane inhibitor down. They've got control over the entirety of the map, wards in the enemy base. Ssumday will continue to pressure bottom side as everybody else moves top.
And they have double Righteous Glory. That is so much engage power here from Meteos and Aphromoo, who are going to be looking to start the fights. They're trying to stay proactive. They know, despite the fact that they are very far ahead now, if you let C9 stall out the game, they have potential to take over in team fights later. And Aphromoo is looking again, as he has been all game. The bot lane performance here from Cody Sun and Afro has been outstanding. I think Aphromoo has just been serving up these kills on a silver platter for Cody Sun. And Cody Sun has been racking them up, but Aphromoo has just been unreal this game to me.
Both of these two, 100% kill participation. 8-0-3, 1-1-10. You can't ask for much more from your bottom lane. And if you're talking about kill participation, 9 of those going over to Meteos as well. You can't fault him for anything he's done this game, because he's been doing a fantastic job of getting involved. And once again, going to be looking to make a play here. Jensen getting himself away with the package. So Meteos can't quite catch up on that one, but a good attempt, and they get rid of that resource.
Definitely so. They take away the package, and Jensen doesn't have a QSS, so if he ever does get caught, he will be in big trouble unless Smoothie can save him. So that's what they're going to have to be very aware of. You look at the QSS also purchased up here for Svenskeren, and that has been forced out, which, yes, it's okay, but generally speaking, you just want to build pure tank items and be able to survive that. I never feel very good about having to build a QSS on something like a Sejuani, because there's no HP there, there's no armor there. You're going to be somewhat more squishy than if you had just another cow.
Cody Sun throwing out the ulti defensively, still looking to get away from this lockdown. Coming in from Cloud9, does flash out. The Taric ulti going to be used, but the damage is there onto Cloud9. Legendary for Cody Sun. Meteos grabs another kill onto Smoothie. Sneaky in some trouble, having to use the QSS to get away from that one, but it's clearly yet another 100 Thieves fight.
Exactly. All you have to do to know who's going to win the fight is watch Cody Sun. If he is not going down to the start, he's simply putting out way too much damage for Cloud9 to handle. He is punching through that front line like it is nothing. And the bot lane minions are already there too. They could go around the horn here and take down the triple inhib, and it looks like they want to do so, but they need to be a little bit careful. Smoothie and Licorice will be up relatively soon, and they may decide the caution is the better part of Valor and back off.
Ssumday taken low. Starix Gage baiting Svenskeren in though. Fantastic by 100 Thieves to turn and burn on that one. As now they move towards the final inhibitor of the game. 2 dead on the side of Cloud9. Just 1 now, but Licorice will not spawn in time to do anything about this inhibitor going down, but Jensen's out of there. Cody Sun, legendary now as 100 Thieves push further towards that Nexus. Thinking about maybe just ending the game right now. Sneaky tries to go in and do something, but he just can't find it. 100 Thieves have made a clean game out of this one so far. 28 minutes in, the first Nexus turret falls. The second will drop as well. Licorice defends at the fountain, but the Nexus is under siege. And 100 Thieves make a statement here against Cloud9 as they find their win and bury that Nexus.
What a performance. Awesome games done quick. 100 Thieves hitting Cloud9 with the speed run there. Just a monstrous performance out of the bot lane duo here for 100 Thieves. Really a good overall team game from them, but damn. 15 kill participation there on Cody Sun. 100% kill participation here on Aphromoo. 1, 1, and 15. His hook did not look like a skill shot.
No,
that was a point and click ability.
People talk about, oh, Skarner's ult's point and click. Well, those Thresh hooks were looking pretty point and click as well.
That.
He set him up time and again, and at the very beginning of this game, we said it's fun to see Aphro on playmakers. It's fun to see him on these champs where he knows, hey, if I pull the trigger here and I do it right, we can just win the game. And he did that time and time and time again this whole game long. He was a superstar.
I mean, it honestly just looked like Cloud9 was a bit out of sorts. The first dragon that they actually contested, that second mountain dragon, to me was really pretty ill-advised when Cody Sun was already sitting on the Rage Blade. Sneaky had not had a chance yet to get his Blade of the Rune King. So they had such a strong advantage there in the bot lane as far as current power. And fighting around that was just very intelligent 400 Thieves. And you have to think, Cloud9 probably should have simply given up that dragon because that is really what started the snowball. Cody Sun got 3 kills there, then goes topside, a full item ahead, picks up more kills, picks up the turrets, and he just got up to such a monumental gold lead that if you can't insta-kill Cody Sun, you can't win the fight. And there's 3 frontliners in front of him, so how are you going to do it?
And after seeing the outcome of this game, I want to go back to kind of what we heard Mark talking about before the game started in terms of, you know, if you're Cloud9, you're sitting in a pretty good spot right now, you can experiment with some different things. The story's not the same for 100 Thieves. Sitting on 5 and 5, you're in that big just mash in the middle where everybody's vying for a playoff spot. So taking a game off of the #2 team, getting yourselves that extra win, this game could be the difference between playoffs and not.
Seriously, and also as far as, you want to talk about confidence and building confidence, not only do they have an incredibly dominant win, I would say by far their best game of the split, it is against that top team, right? You know, this was not an incredible win against someone who's at the bottom. This was smashing Cloud9, and they have got to feel so good about it.
You absolutely do, especially with those numbers we were talking about, like with the bottom lane and the jungler. But now we're going to send things over to Avali and the Sultan of the Stinger for 100 Thieves.
Thanks, guys. It looks like 100 Thieves is back. Meteos, congratulations on that victory. With this win, does it mean that the team has found that one agreed-upon playstyle?
Well, I think we're moving in that direction for sure. Our practice has been a lot better, and I think we're getting better, and I was happy with how we played.
Picking up the 2nd win in a row the last week against CLG. Did that victory give you guys a confidence boost to take down Cloud9 today?
I think that win, yeah, it was pretty big for our morale and confidence because if we lost that game, we would have been like on a 5-game losing streak and had a negative record, but winning it, so like we end on a win and have a neutral record, so that was really big.
And it's difficult to measure win performance when you are on that losing streak, but did the team learn anything from that?
Yeah, I think we try to not get too distracted by the results of LCS games because there's a lot of things going on every game that we have to work on, like communication, rotations, vision, all that stuff. And we've been getting better over time for sure. Sometimes we're going to drop games, but we're just looking to keep getting better.
Well, today you played against one of your closest friends, Sneaky. What are your interactions like before and after games?
With Sneaky?
Against him.
Oh, we didn't talk too much before this one. But yeah, we're pretty good friends, and we usually have a good time when we talk.
Well, you guys are doing the lounge stream with Freak today. You're going to talk a lot more then. What are your expectations going into that?
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I hope everyone goes and watches that stream. It's going to be a good time.
Well, Meteos, congratulations again on your victory. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. Meteos thinks you should tune in. I know you should tune in to that stream because it'll be a ton of fun.
I talked to Meteos before the game. I was like, how are things going? He's like, we're turning things around. Practice has been great this week. And I was like, great enough to beat C9. He's like, C9's a pretty good team. And then they beat them.
And then they crush them.
You didn't tell me. Why, Meteos? If you knew.
What is going on in the NALCS that every time we begin to discuss that things may have settled and fallen into place and the hierarchy's established and these teams are starting to, turn bag into pumpkins or everything is just turned on its head. This was a crushing game, a crushing victory for 100 Thieves over Cloud9. It's not like it was played incredibly close from start to finish.
Yeah, I would say there were some very close team fights in the mid game, and both teams are actually playing around the win conditions that we kind of set out. Both teams were trying to gank bot line very frequently, and 100 Thieves, they drafted enough initiation so when they got an advantage, they could hammer it home.
Yeah, Mark, let's talk about this draft a little bit because I know when we talk about Cloud9, so often we go to the top lane, we talk about the resources funneled into Licorice, the counter pick opportunities. This time around, Gnar picked up Blind.
Right, but it's still a draft, kind of focus here. I would not say, C9's experimenting like we said they might be able to do. They banned Camille, one of the only counters into Gnar. Ssumday plays 6 games of Gnar, and GP is up. So when you take Gnar, Ssumday is taking GP. So they reached for that pick to get that matchup because if they wait, maybe Ssumday takes Gnar, and then Licorice doesn't play GP as far as we can tell. So this was still a clear draft focus on getting him a winning matchup. Just because it wasn't a counter pick doesn't mean this wasn't what they knew would happen.
Right, but when it came to the game, those win conditions we laid out, Jet, was a ton of focus around the bot lane. How would C9 deal with the jungle support duo from 100 Thieves making their visitations down to the bot lane?
And they tried to punch him really early on, but I think they may have overestimated their damage here. There's 3 level 4 people and nearly a full health Thresh who still has Lantern up, so it took him a really long time to kill. I don't really see a situation where they can cleanly play that dive and not trade 1-for-1. And then, because they burned all their summoner spells there, it made this return Skarner Lantern game kind of the reliable thing that's able to take down Sneaky.
And so while they did avoid the first blood attempt, it was a 1-for-1, and then the regank happened like Jat said. So they were playing to that win condition of making sure that they limited C9's bot lane. And then on the top side, yeah, Licorice was winning, but he never got any help this game, which is one of those things that we say, it feels like you need to give Licorice help to have that win condition come true.
Right, and at the end of the day, you can play towards your win condition 100%, but once you get to that mid game, once you get to those team fights, sometimes the win conditions go out the window, and it's just about who's playing better on the day, who's executing better in that skirmish.
And 100 Thieves outplayed C9 in a number of team fights. This one, credit Aphromoo and Meteos for changing the fight. Watch that hook. Aphromoo hits onto Jensen, which is chained into the Skarner ultimate as Meteos was running away. Many people would have expected the Skarner to flash backwards, not sideways. So that in itself caught them off guard.
Another
and then
crucial
the continuation of the fight, another crucial hook. Also late heal by Sneaky would have allowed Licorice to pop Mega Gnar. Those little things, Jensen getting hit by the hook, also not healing on the Kalista to the Gnar, made a huge difference in the course of the game.
Right, you heard Azael talking about how there was the item advantage. That was still a winnable fight for C9, but 100 Thieves and Aphro just played it so well.
Yeah.
It's so easy to throw that hook into that fight where it's like, they're initiating on my tank, I'll try and help him out, but he saw Jensen isolate off on the side and went for him and kind of refocused how that fight was going for 100 Thieves. Even after that, it's a 4v4 because both people lost members. And then he hits another hook, like Jat said. And it's just such a great fight out of him. And Aphro, 100% KP as well. So it wasn't like he stopped there.
Of course, this is just the first game of the week for both these teams. Tomorrow, 100 Thieves has FlyQuest, Cloud9 has Clutch Gaming. We're about to see Clutch go up against CLG in just a bit. But 400 Thieves, having broken that 4-game loss streak last week with their win over CLG and mounting another win here against the second team in the league. How are we starting to feel about this team and what they're showing us just in these most recent games in terms of improvement and moving forward? Meteos said they had a good week of scrims, but not all their problems are solved.
Yeah, I can tell by Mark's facial expression that he is not sold on
Well, no, I just don't know what to think anymore.
We've been burned by this team before because I had medium expectations at the start of the year. They jump out to 4-1, beating some big games. They lose 4 in a row. They have an underwhelming game against CLG. But I'm just thinking about their mental game right now.
Right.
Not because they beat Cloud9, but they are on Cloud9 right now because I felt like coming into the day, they were lucky to be 5-5. And they just smashed the second best team in the league. So they might just be thinking, man, we just got away with sucking for a couple weeks and now we're great again. Like, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling when that happens.
Story of my solo queue career.
I think they're just a very emotional team potentially because when they were losing, you heard Meteos in his interview, then what Azael referenced also at the top of the day. Oh, we just like no one's on the same page. It sucks. They say they have a good week of scrims before the games and they smash people. So maybe it's just the kind of thing where ask them how their scrims went, and then I'll tell you how good they're going to do that week.
All right, things are starting to fall into place for 100 Thieves. Perhaps it's time for a quick break. When we return, Counterlogic Gaming hope to take down Clutch Gaming. See you here after the commercial.
Please.
Go.